So I seem to recall like 2 weeks ago us saying that, hey, the last 2 episodes of this show, we're going to have our reviews up on time, which hasn't happened because life and trying to watch a TV show on a Monday is just impossible here. So anyway, we have finally seen the finale of American Gods, and my God. Yes. 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 Yeah. And it was really, really exceptional. Like, this was announced... And this was a really, really exceptional finale. I think a whole lot of things kind of came together for the show while also leaving enough for us kind of waiting for that next season. It had a really great kind of last 10 minutes. It actually had a lot of kind of like surge to it. It kind of really absorbed me. I was like, oh, okay, we're in for it. So I think the first thing to go over is we have like outright confirmation right now. It's like, okay, so Wednesday is Odin. I'm pretty sure everyone was completely aware of that anyway, but now Shadow's aware of that. He had a display of power. He basically called down a lightning strike, which is always going to be something that's thrilling to watch. But that whole interaction as well, I think like Easter was kind of the star of this episode, and we were waiting for ages to see what Kristen Chenoweth could do. And she was just fantastic.
She was absolutely splendid. She brings such wonder to every single role, and like I've got a lot more respect for her now than kind of what I did when I was younger as well. Knowing, you know, like her rich theatre background and how insanely talented she is as well. She's an amazing singer.
So I haven't really seen her in like, is it My Name Is Earl or whatever? The main show she was on, and like I only seen her
in a few things, but yeah, she's such a talented actress, and yeah, she just glowed in this episode.
Literally, at one point she glowed. There was a lot of glowing in this episode.
There was a lot of it, yeah. But I mean, what a fantastic episode! What a fantastic 15 minutes. But let's get to the start, back to the first 15 minutes, because that was absolutely crazy, like flat out freaking perfect.
We had our god, whose name I can't remember right now. This guy who was there, I think in the opening of the 3rd episode, I believe, 2nd or 3rd episode, who had that great slavery kind of monologue, "You're eternally fucked" type thing, and he absolutely, like, he just commands the screen. He's like, alright, I'm gonna tell a story, and he told the story of Shiva here, who I guess overall is kind of the detractor of this episode. I really dug that scene, but then obviously with that post-credits scene, I guess not post-credits, but like ending scene with her, which didn't really, like, she was just never able to fit into the season, which I found really frustrating, as much as I really enjoyed all of her stuff. And as we were saying, that opening sequence this week was phenomenal. Like, that was just...
And just so well directed as well. I mean, like we talked about, like probably one of our favorite parts about this episode was like the simple fade from like that red moon to like her afro, and then we got those wicked title cards like 1979, and
that whole sequence with the transitions was just really excellent.
It was a beautiful sequence, but yeah, as you touched on, it is really unfortunate that they didn't end up finding a way to really connect Shiva this season into the season thematically. Like, she's clearly part of a bigger picture. She's part of like a season 2 plan as such, but it's frustrating for them to go ahead and literally just insert her, because all of her stuff were literally inserts like on the script, and it felt like that.
Thing is as well is that like we don't really have much reason to care about her. We've got that intrigue, but like the thing is that you have that scene at the end where it's almost like one of those, like, it was almost like a Thanos type thing. It's like a villain thing, and it just didn't really work. And I think time that was spent on her kind of undercut Mr. World for the entirety of this season. Obviously, he had one major appearance in episode 5 where he had his display of power, and then he turned up in this episode but wasn't actually there. And that for me kind of like, I want to feel like they're a bigger threat than just a bunch of dudes standing across from each other kind of going at it. But like, I think they're like the main detractors from this episode, because I mean overall, like, this episode was visually really gorgeous.
Just an absolute treat, hey. And I mean, like, especially the stuff from like mainly the first kind of like the start of the episode was really like night driven. There was a lot of night sequences, and then we just went like full daytime. And there was just amazing daytime sequences, and to have the finale like all shot in in daylight was splendid. It was so wicked to watch.
It was really cool in this situation, and I think just seeing the display of power from the gods, mainly just Easter and Wednesday, was really exciting. Just getting to finally kind of see, like, this is it. And the other thing as well is that we finally have, like, the arc of this season was Shadow coming to a state where he's like, no, I believe in what I'm seeing. And that was the arc that was completed this season. And I'm really stoked that that's what they went with, because I completely bought his reaction to seeing that happen. He was like, yep, I'm in.
Yeah, it also ends up kind of feeling like by the end of this like season, they've kind of like, they created something way bigger than what they started with as well. Like, dealing with gods and these big issues, and, you know, what they're tackling each week. They got to this end of this season. It's like, oh, we've got quite a few seasons to go.
Yeah.
So let's hope that people can really get behind this show so they can really kind of explore things more so and really lay it out. Because this season
I'd love
was
to see stuff on
just
that
everywhere.
scale, yeah.
Man. Like, it was almost an introduction to what this show can be, I
Yeah,
think.
exactly. And I think, like, if you go back and watch episode 1 now, you'll be like, wow, that came a really long way in basically almost 6 episodes, to be honest, because they spent 2 episodes backtracking and sidetracking and that. So in 6 episodes, they went from point A to point B here, which is just really, really incredible in its own right. Once again, the music here was just phenomenal.
And everywhere. It just went everywhere.
Particularly that last 10 minutes where it got kind of electronic and really kind of had that power, like that thrust where it was just pushing us through that kind of confrontation between
I absolutely
Media and Easter.
loved the Beatrice, or the Love Gods, like her like soundtrack that we got at the start of the show.
She's got like 5 names. It's really frustrating.
Yeah,
it's
I know.
It's like Shiva, Bilquis. There's just 2. Anyway, even now Wednesday was like listing like all his names.
He's
He was
gone
like,
through all of them.
it's gone through like 20 different names. It's like, all right.
Also, Ian McShane in that little scene.
Ian McShane.
Ian McShane in that last sequence where he was doing his Odin thing was nuts. You could see he was having heaps of fun with it as well.
Yeah, the quality of this episode overall, I think in terms of the performances and the writing this episode was the best it's probably been for the entire show, I'd say. Almost. I mean, episode 4 is probably my still personal favourite. But anyway, the writing here was fantastic, and like what really, really worked about it, I think, was like, it was so good that it took away from the fact that those rabbits were clearly not in the scenes at all, and there was a lot of green screen stuff here, and like all the multiple Jesuses, which was a really cool idea, with all their like glowing halos that were clearly done in post. I was just not concerned about that at all. I noticed it, but I was so absorbed by what I was seeing. I also want to say that the American Jesus, I think, that Shadow was talking to is also, he was the coward character from Saving Private Ryan. Don't know if any of you guys know that. He was also in Hannibal Season 2, had a really great role in that as well. But it's exciting for me seeing him pop up again, because it was another person from Hannibal showing up. But I think overall this is a really great season finale. It was a really great show overall. We're going to do a whole season review.
Yeah.
We better do a whole season review, because it was just, it really was fantastic. And it wasn't perfect. There's a lot of flaws here. But the level of creativity and the level of excitement and the level of inventiveness is what's important here, and that's what we
almost
go into.
Unmatched on TV as well.
Yeah.
Like, to see like this show literally just went nuts, and to have like a show like this exist is so
this
exciting.
and Legion together are both really, it's a really, really exciting time for TV.
Considering Legion was nuts, but it was controlled. This was just like, this was a fucking
This was
loose
like,
cannon.
alright, we're gonna go to a bit of this and a bit of this, whereas Legion was a bit more tightly wound and a different thing. I don't know which one I actually like more in the end. I may have a thing to say about that when we finally get to our full season review. But, I mean, yeah, I'm really satisfied by that being the end of the season. It's a great show. We are 100% on board for Season 2. And the thing is that's important, if you like this show, get your friends to watch it. Next time you go around to a friend's place or something, you're like, no, sit down, we're watching this, and don't let them get up until they are hooked.
Yeah.
Alright? Like, that's the important thing you gotta do with shows like this. So, yes.
Yeah, that were our thoughts on the finale of American Gods Season 1. What did you think? Let us know in the comment section below.
And while you're down there, it's probably worth hitting our subscribe button to see more stuff from us.
And you can also check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter, all at Breaking Banter.